Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you today. Do you get a signal coming? Sound is coming clear? Thank you. Thank you. Today I would like to start with a topic that Venus asked about few days ago, about Genesis 2, about Adam in Genesis 2. Adam in Genesis 2 can name the animals. He can give their names. But there is a problem. Though he can give them names according to the features or their essence, God has a problem because from those animals that Adam is naming, he cannot find a companionship. What is the meaning of giving names to the animal? It means Adam in Genesis 2, and this is quite odd to the people who are listening to this first time. Adam, in a way, can command. He can give them commands, yes, but giving animal commands or giving, yes, he is like a program. Yes, he is like programming. Yes, he's a programmer, basically. He writes codes from dawn until sunset. This is what he does. Yes, he's planning, in a way, he's programming. Yes. Sheep go to the pasture. Yes, he's commanding them like army commanders. This is what Rashi writes about this verse. Those who have a copy of Rashi in English, Rashi says in Hebrew. Rashi is a scholar, French Hebrew scholar, that lived on the border between France and Germany when the Crusaders start marching to the Holy Land. And so he writes about this verse, melamed. Melamed, it means it teaches us, this verb teaches us that Adam came on them. Melamed sheba Adam al kol chaya v'chaya. What does it mean that Adam came on them? Yes, he was commanding them, giving them commands and orders. But there is a problem. When we command, in a way, we don't have a friend. There is no companionship. So Adam, so to speak, in the beginning of Genesis 2, is a great commander. He gives commands. He can command all the animals. Yes, but he doesn't have a friend. He doesn't have a companionship. He doesn't have any other perspective than his own as a programmer. Is this topic clear? Adam as a programmer, yes? Adam sits, yes, in his office, yes, like an AI that does exactly what you want. This is it. And this is, please pay attention, this is the dualistic nature. Again, the dualistic nature of programming. Yes, programming has a dualistic nature. Yes, this is a problem because there is no perspective in it. It's just a line. There is a saying that a good friend will also tell you no. Exactly. Good friend will also tell you no. Good friend will say maybe there's another way. Not just give a silent consent and lower his head. If we look at nature, yes, we see that animals, they have 4 legs. Yes, 4 legs. And their head is in the same height of their back. Only man is standing on 2, and in a way his head is looking at the sky. The animals, they can look in a way horizontal. Yes, and he commands those animals that just look horizontal. So what kind of perspective does Adam have? This is why he does not have a companionship. And the mission, so to speak, of God is to find him a companionship. But there is a problem. Because Adam, as a great commander or a great programmer, thinks of himself as supreme as or capture. Yes, Adam does not need to clone himself without, yes, needs to clone himself without. But there is a problem, as we say, and God wants to find him a companionship. But Adam, as perceiving himself as a great sage, yes, or a great wise man, cannot lower in a way his, or how do you say, diminish his self-centeredness as a commander. He thinks that he is the commander of the universe. And to such an attitude, there is no friendship, or there is no brotherhood, or there is no companionship. So the first mission of God is what? To put him to sleep. What does it mean to put him to sleep? To lower a bit what he thinks about himself, or how he perceives the world. So, yes, there is a need to reboot the system. And when the system reboots and Adam, in a way, falls asleep, then God takes a rib, in Hebrew, tsela. Tsela comes from also the side. It means not just a rib in English. Tsela is also a side, because when we have triangle in Hebrew, in English we say triangle. We call the form according to the angle. But in Hebrew we call the form according to the ribs. So Tsela is one of the ribs of the triangle. So he takes Tsela. Yes, Tsela is a rib in English, but also from the side. From the side of Adam, he takes a portion, or I would say a potential, and then from this potential comes a wife or a woman or a different perspective. Because what is the woman? We once explained it by using number. This is another perspective, a wide perspective, conversational perspective, meaning not commanding, not linear, not like we say semicolon when there's a commander and people just receive commands. Yes? Bringing the woman to the game, and then we have holistic way of life, a round way of life, not linear. I repeat, and this is why Adam says, Hapa'am zot, this time, yes, this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. This time, yes, but not the previous time when he was by himself. Yes, this is why he named, so to speak, the woman, Isha, upon him, his name in Hebrew, Ish. Ki mi'ish lukacha zot, meaning she has the potential of the man. She has the potential of the fire, or the conversation has the potential of wisdom. But this is a very wide perspective, not narrow, like to take a nuclear bomb and to explode things, but to take the fire and develop it in a sequence of time to bring positive, how do you say, influence to the world. What is the structural difference between Ish and Isha? In Hebrew, the structural difference that Ish has Aleph Yod Shin, this is the man, 3 letters, and Isha has 3 letters, but different. Both of them, one second, I'm writing and speaking at the same time, both of them having the Aleph Shin, Ish, both of them, you can see, you're familiar with the letters. Both of them have Aleph Shin, Ish, which is fire. But the Ish has the potent fire with the Yod, The yod is always the potency. Yes, this is the man. He has the potential. Not the man biologically. Yes, but as an essence. Yes. Ish has the potential, so to speak, the spark. But the woman, she has, or the feminine perspective, or the wider perspective, Isha has the fire, Ish, plus Hey. When the Hey, in a way, is a three-dimensional letter, the letter Hey has vertical, horizontal, and depth perspective. So, what does the woman supposed to do, or not just woman, it's not a biological woman, it's about the concept of a conversation. Bring, yes, yes, fire plus five, yes, the whole hand perspective, a wider perspective of things. This is what happens if we take from our lives. Yes, an example. A person has some kind of an idea. It doesn't matter if he wants to build a website, if he wants to, let's say, plan a bakery, yes, or he composes a song. He has certain kind of idea. But when he shares this with a friend, with a colleague, with professional, the other person will bring a completely different perspective from the one, because he comes from another angle. So, of course, that the man which the Bible discuss in Genesis 2 is a person who think about himself, that he is a self-made man. But this is not to continue. This way does not support life. Only broad perspective of a conversation, of friendship, of a companionship. This is why there is a need, in a way, to reboot this Adam, to put him to sleep and build a broader perspective that supports life, because life is something complete, like a circle. So far, so good. Is this point understood about Adam in Genesis 2? Do we understand the concept? That's great. That's great. If this is so, let's go back to Bereshit. Again, the word Bereshit starts with letter Bet, yes? That its numerical value is 2. The question why the Bible does not start with Aleph or with mute Aleph, because the Aleph is hidden. And how does the Aleph, in its hidden way, created a space within herself for us to be? By concising herself to the middle point. By concising, because the Aleph, because let's start from, in a way, from the beginning. The Aleph, or the source, is one. The source is infinite. Since the nature of infinite is to be infinite and not finite, to continue to create this infinite, the source had to become 2, which is male and female, cold and warm, and so on, night and day. But the question is how the source, which is a potential energy, moves to be, or becomes to be, male and female, night and day. How does this happen? From the source, from the potential, suddenly we have the appearance of 2 branches of duality. So how such a thing can happen? And the sages are telling us, also Hari, in his poem The Tree of Life, he tells us about a very simple idea which is called, or known as, tzimtzum, or concising. The infinite concise himself to the middle point. And After he concised himself to the middle point, there is a space from where the light used to be, the potential energy used to be. And in this space, which is a vacancy now, there is a space in which the duality forms of life could appear. So, what? Yes, in our world, there is an analogy. When putting two mirrors opposite of one another, there is sense of infinite. The mirror, yes. Yeah, one mirror cannot do it. That's correct. That's correct. This is it. This is it. This is also the same aspect of the tselem, the image. This is it. This is the aspect of the tselem, the image. So let's go back to the source, to the infinite source, and to the first, in a way, action, which is concising or concentrating this potential energy to the middle point. This is, in a way, what is concise itself, yes, to the middle point. This is the essence of the masculine, because it goes inside, yes, and the vacancy that will be remain, yes, so to speak, of this concising process will be the feminine or the manifested. Do we understand the principle that when there is a, how do you say, concising or concentration to the center, this is considered to be a masculine process or happening? Do we understand it, that concising, going to the center, it means to be or to act as masculine or to act as the source? Do we understand this principle before we continue to the creation of the worlds, before we continue to the creation of nature? And so do we understand when we concise ourselves, yes, all of us, yes, when we don't show things? We can take an example from our own lives, yes? We can sit in silence and not say anything in public. So if we sit in silence and don't, let's say, share opinions or perspectives, we sit in silence, yes? But the silence, it's like Aleph Shoteket, the silence, Aleph, we just conserving everything inside. Yes, this is considered to be, because it's hidden. Yes, we don't expose or share, yes, our ideas or our perspectives. So we concise ourselves to the middle point and we keep quiet. This is considered to be the masculine aspect or the hidden aspect of God or of divinity. While when there's a sharing or when there's appearance of the phenomenon, this is, in a way, the feminine, yes, phase of God, of divinity. Do we understand this, how do you say, law? Yes? Yes, this is Yod Hey Vav Hey versus Elohim. Yes, this is the tetragrammaton, Yod Hey Vav Hey versus, yes, Elohim. Elohim is the manifested, and the being is the hidden. Again, the tetragrammaton is being and is hidden, and Elohim is the manifested in time and space. So the tetragrammaton or being will always be the masculine, so to speak, form of God, of divinity, of the source, being, yes, and becoming, yes, becoming, the manifested is the feminine way of God or the appearance of God. Do we understand this principle? Before we continue, because those are happening inside of us all the time. Note, Elohim is female plural also. Yes, Elohim is female plural to its multiplicity. That's correct. That's correct. So what has happened in this process of concising, when the infinite concise himself, center himself to the middle point? Yes. So when God or the infinite source concise himself to the middle point, there is a restorage or concentration of potential energy, which comes to the center and remains hidden in silence. Yes, this is the masculine way of God, of divinity, of the source. And when there is concentration in the middle, there's suddenly a vacancy, an open space in which all the manifested, yes, way of God, singular, will appear. Yes? For instance, Olam Atzilut, 1 second. Interesting, the first one is not allowed to pronounce, but the second is. Yes, is not allowed. Yes, the name, yes, of the Lord, of the Tetragrammaton, Havaya, the being, is not that it's not allowed, it's not even possible to speak, because this is what? The speed of light. The speed of light, we cannot speak. It's impossible. Nobody will get punished. It's just impossible to express the name of God. Yes? It's just impossible. It's at two different sequences. Yes? Just to give us an example. Once I was opening one of the chapters, Reshimo between the two. Yes, Pixidis. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Reshimo. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I will speak about it. Just one top after the other. Give me a slug of water. 1 second. I'm closing the mic for drinking. 1 second. Returning to the concept. Once I was looking in one of the Genesis chapters on the net in Hebrew, and Wikipedia tells you there you can read it, let's say, silently in 3 minutes. But when you hear a voice over the text, please pay attention. Reading, 3 minutes the text. Listening to the voice, reading the biblical text, 4 minutes. The manifested. Voice is in the manifested. Now, going back to the Reshimo. This is very interesting because the value of Reshimo, let's look. Do you accept Pixidis? Do you understand what the Reshimo means? This is the first time you hear about Reshimo, or have you heard this idea before? What is Reshimo? Window for fresh air. I heard the term before, but never understood it clearly. Maybe you can explain it in simplicity. Yes. 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 Expansion, contraction. Yes. Yes. What is the Reshimo? What is the Reshimo? Reshimo is impression. Reshimo, this is a word in Aramaic. Reshimo. Never heard. Yes. Reshimo in here. Let's slow it down. I will slow my speech a bit. We have Reshimo. This is a word which is constructed Aramaic. It means impression. Impression. Second, I'm writing into letters. Impression. When there's, let's say, how we call it, a painter or a person who draws, he can paint in colors, yes, but a person can take a pencil, yes, and make a fast sketch, something that catches the moment that is happening in the air, in the room, in the restaurant, in the street. This impressive sketch that comes from the moment. This is Reshimo. It leaves in a way, impression. Yes, say if we, let's say, we take a walk in the city and we see there's a man who sits on the chair under a tree and people are just moving through or walking in the daylight, and he sits under the tree and take, in a way, fast or scattered sketches of the movement of the people. Suddenly there's a butterfly and he managed to sketch it. Yes, so his sketch leaves a, in a way, impression of the moving butterfly on a page. Yes, my coffee cups also leave impressions on my table, but not on the table, but also in the coffee cup when we drink, let's say, black coffee or chocolate or even general coffee. If we look at the cup after people finish it to drink their drinks, we can see all kinds of impression. In the Mediterranean, people had made an art of this, and they're reading your coffee cup as your future. There are special people with a bit of imagination. Yes, they can take the coffee cup of which person's drink and they can read their future life. Yes, because there is an impression. And this is a beautiful example of impression. I see great, yes, fortune in this cup. It will cost you $100. That's great. That's great. Yes. So we were speaking about Reshimo, which means impression. And before we entered, yes, like a signature. That's great. Like a signature. That's excellent. Like a signature. That's correct. That's correct. And everybody has his own signature, or even everybody will take a sip of a coffee. Everyone will leave his signature in the cup of coffee because the breath is from the being. And in a way, this is the signature or the mark, silent mark. So let's go back to the Reshimo. We were mentioning this person who sits under the tree in the city and just take fast sketches, impressions of the moment. This Reshimo that the Zohar speaks about, it means that after the great infinite concised itself to the middle point, to be silent and hidden and remain as a potential energy, there was a remembrance. What used to contain this potential energy, after this light restrict himself to the middle point, this space remembers or has these impressions of the great potency of light that was before the this centralizing of the light in the center, concising the light. So the place that remembered how the great light used to expand to those places and then restrict himself to the middle point, these spaces, white spaces that now remained empty and darkness from this disappearance of the light, they still have impression or memory of what used to be the influence of the light in this space. It's like we say many of the stars in the sky actually don't exist anymore. It's just that their light is only reaching us right now. Yes. Something similar. Yes. So there was a reshimo, an impression in the space after the light has constricted himself to the middle point as hidden, or the potential energy concised itself to the middle, still from the space that used to hold this great potential of light, of life or energy, the space still holds or remember this impression of influence, of wholeness, of just life. This remembrance calls Reshimo. And this how the sages are in a way describing to us what happens when we feel life is moving through us. Reshimo is basically or hakav, the linear, yes, the linear light, that whenever we move in life and we feel like goodness, completeness, happiness, and limited potential, this is what the sages are calling as reshimo. We have a, how do you say, a memory, or there is a notion of having this relation to completeness without a limitation that we usually feel in life. Is this principle understood? Reshimo is basically, or impression, this is what we feel, yes? What and when we feel that there is no duality. There is no paradox. Yes, when there is no conflict. Like Aleph, Hakav. Yes, yes, yes. That's great. Or Hakav, or Vav Ktsavot. This is the 6 edges, or the light of Zer Anpin. Yes, or Hakav, the light of Zer Anpin, the light of the connecting Vav. Yes, everybody can understand it according to his language or according to what he reads or learned during the times. Completeness without limitations. Yes, this is the Reshimo. This is the Reshimo. So it often, yes, this center point is the lesser Vav. Okay. Is the center point? We can say it's a letter Vav as much as we can say it's more than, it's nothing. It's the center point. The center point is nothing. This is the center point. It's nothing. In the center point, there's nothing. Like in geometry, a point has no expansion. That's it. Like in geometry, yes. There is no expansion. Yes, in a dot. Yes, in a point. Yes, there is no expansion. So, I would like to describe to ourselves what happens when a person has these Reshimo impressions. A person can visit a museum or can see an art painting, yes, either in a museum or on the net, online, or can hear a piece of music or have impression from a certain tree in the boulevard. And at this moment, that I could say it is an infinite moment because it's not, it cannot be measured because it's a qualitative moment. A person feels no limitation. He doesn't feel himself, as John, Paul, or Mary. He doesn't feel that he has an address, a family, a name, an age, whatever people say. It just he himself and the tree, or himself and the painting, or he with the music. This is something which is boundless. Yes? Has no limitation, has no beginning or end. This is the meaning of the Reshimo. Yes? Because once we have this Impression that there's no boundaries, there is no limitation, there's only being in the moment. The more we feel those moments, the better our lives are becoming, and less troubled and less argumentative, competitive, or so. Like I heard recently, if you see yourself as the center of the universe, you're going to be in conflict with everyone and everything, because there can be two centers of the universe. Yes. Unless if there's a tree of knowledge, and then yes. Yes, there is a claiming of the center. And this is the tree of knowledge. He claims that he is the center. Yes, because as we see, I'm moving to the window, and we see in Genesis 2, ועץ החיים בתוך הגן, and the tree of life is in the midst of the garden, ועץ הדעת טוב ורע, and the tree of knowledge, good and evil. So there's a one center, tree of life, but claiming of owning the center, this is the tree of knowledge. I am the center, as babies sing. It's good for the babies. This is keeps them alive for a while until they can walk on their own feet. Yes. Question so far: did we understand this idea of Hoshimo? Did we understand that the more we experience those unlimited moments, the more our life are getting better? And those moments is impersonal moments. They don't have a connection to the delivering parents, to the born children. It's impersonal moment of divinity. The more we experience those moments, the quality of our lives and freedom ascends. Because this is the truth. This is unconditional love. Is this understood? Is this idea understood? Hallel for this moment. Yeah. Hallel to this moment. Yeah. Hallel, Hallel. Yes. So unconditional love does not in a way dependent on parenthood, on childhood, on an income, seasons of the year, kind of occupation, in which neighborhood do we live, country, language, because there is no limitation, there is no condition. Yes? And the more we experience those moments, the more it is just a matter of health and being and flourishing. And less moment of self-conflict is health. And less moment of argument with members of family, with neighbors, is just going for growth, for the tree of life. Yes? It is simple. We also experience this unlimited or unconditional love. We have more availability to create. We have space. Yes? Again, we have more because we are not occupied. Our space is not occupied with unnecessarily exchange with foreign elements that don't bring the growth or the flourishing. We need a bit of nothing to create something. We need a bit of nothing. Yes. So this process is always happening inside of us, this concising to the middle point. We can go to a place and like chat, small talk with everyone in the office. What does it bring? Nothing. But we can go say good morning and go, and then we have more space. constricting ourselves with listening to make a void. Yes, the light then expands to fill the void. Then Rashimo could be a type of a star or a painting. That's exactly how it is. Yes, 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 yes. This is it. Are you familiar with a certain kind of toy? I'm not sure in all of the country, how do we call it? Are you familiar with, let's say, a toy? Once they used to call it yo-yo. I don't know how to write it. Yo-yo. Are you familiar with this toy called yo-yo? Yes, you are familiar. Principle of the yo-yo. It's pretty universal, yes. What is the principle of the yo-yo? How does it work? How does it work? Do you remember? Yes, yes, this is what it does. Yes, 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 there is a roll and there's a thread that is a rope around the roll, and we can have the, how to say, a ring which is connected to one of our fingers, and we can throw it and it comes back. Yes? This is the same principle. This is the same principle. So, in a way, this is, in a way, an example to show us that any moment we can send this yo-yo and create, if it helps us to focus, create an empty space. Yes? Not to go so much to the manifested, not to take in fleshy news or whatever happens, the happenings of the day, not to take them too seriously. This is just an appearance. For me, I just can share what happens to me lately, those days. When I walk in nature and I see, let's say, seeds of trees, eucalyptus or any other tree, I just see the flower, the dried flower or the seed, and I hold it in my hand, and sometimes I draw it or put it on the shelf. And this is like a concentrating point, because also the fingers are touching, and so. But we can concise ourselves to the middle in every moment that we want. This is not such a great mission in a way, because it demands nothing. And this is the whole, I would say, the whole avenue. It demands nothing, because to produce something, to go out to the world, we need, let's say, pen, paper, colors, instruments, and so to write, use the phone. But to concise ourselves to the middle point, it just demands nothing. And this is so simple. Why it demands nothing? Because the nothing was already there before we arrived here. Yes? Yes, no conditions and requirements necessary. Yes, nothing. What do you need to do to become one, or to be, not to become one? We cannot become one because we're already one. Nothing. To be one. Nothing. Just nothing. There's a great relief and great peace. So it is always possible to become nothing. Not to become, to be nothing. Because we are nothing. All the rest is just appearance in the manifestation in time and space. So if we sometimes during along the day are troubled, or sometimes in the middle of the night we have troubles, we cannot fall asleep, just sit with nothingness, drink something, and it will move away, because it's only appearance. Those conflicts, those memories from the past, moments that just pass and just continue to dig in our mind, they're not really existing. So just sit with this nothing, and there's a great joy in it, because nothing lacks and everything is there. Nothing has to become. And it's beautiful, happy, and healthy. Do we have any questions today to ask or thoughts to share? It's the time. Yeah, I see. Yes, yes, I see. It is always possible to ask questions. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for being such good friends. I would like to wish you beautiful, flourishing, infinite life with love and happiness wherever you are. Thank you so much, and shalom, shalom.